Federal Treasurer Josh Frydenberg, live from Parliament House. Treasurer, good morning.
Good morning, Michael. Nice to be with you and Lisa.
Great to have you on board. I want to start, though, with the Brittany Higgins rape allegations. You may have seen both The Australian and News.com this morning are reporting text messages. They're publishing text messages between Brittany Higgins and another Liberal staffer in April 2019. The other staffer said he raised the alleged rape with the Prime Minister's office, and the person in Scott Morrison's office was mortified to hear about it. That is at odds with what the Prime Minister's telling us.
Well, the Prime Minister gave a statement earlier this week, and I'm not aware of any difference to that statement. The Prime Minister also laid out, Michael, as you know, a detailed series of processes to help improve the culture in Parliament House, but also the support that is provided to those in need, including having the Deputy Secretary of the Department and Prime Minister and Cabinet conduct a review, asking our colleague Cecilia Hammond, who's been the former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Notre Dame and is familiar with related issues within an institutional setting, asking her to work on improvements as well as an independent, bipartisan, cross-partisan review of the culture in Parliament House, and we'll look forward to receiving the responses from those reviews.
That's important, and I wanted our viewers to hear about the steps being taken to ensure this didn't happen again. But I want to ask you again, these text messages on face value blow the Prime Minister's argument about the timeline and when he and his office first heard out of the water, don't they?
Well, again, I'm not aware of any difference to the statement that the Prime Minister made earlier this week about the timeline for his office knowing and also for him knowing. These have been very serious issues. The government's taken them very seriously, and as you'd expect us to do, Michael.
If Brittany Higgins was your staffer and she came to you alleging she had been raped, how quickly would you tell the Prime Minister personally?
Well, again, my first priority would be to provide that support to that staffer, and Linda Reynolds has made that very clear in the Parliament, as well as making an apology to Brittany because she felt that at all times she was providing that support. But I'd also want the relevant authorities to know. They're the most important people to know and to follow up those allegations.
Yeah. And speaking about the relevant authorities, we do know that Linda Higgins, less than a fortnight after the alleged rape, sat down with a very senior officer from the AFP to talk about the rape allegations. Does it strike you as odd that she didn't use that opportunity to go one step further and at least inform the Prime Minister?
Well, again, I'm not, party to those discussions. What I do know...
Okay, would you? I'm asking your personal views. Would you inform the Prime Minister?
I know you'd like me to get into a whole series of hypotheticals. I wasn't involved in that situation. What I do know is Linda Reynolds cares very deeply about this issue, about her staff, and always being there for them, and that's what she tried to do through this process. But obviously, she's also made an apology because there was a sense that that support wasn't provided.
Do you believe Brittany Higgins?
Of course I believe Brittany Higgins, and I also believe the Prime Minister, and I also believe Linda Reynolds, and I believe that the support needs to be provided to Brittany, but also we need to improve the culture within Parliament House, and that's where our focus is.
OK, let's go to Facebook. Treasurer, the tech giant is showing absolutely no signs of backing down. So is that it for Facebook in Australia when it comes to news content?
Look, I hope not. Mark Zuckerberg and I have been in contact yesterday. We spoke yesterday morning, but then we were subsequently in contact and we agreed to talk later this morning. So we'll see where those discussions go and we can find a pathway going forward. Yesterday's actions by Facebook were unnecessary. They were heavy-handed. They've generated a very strong reaction here in Australia. And this code is going to be very important in terms of protecting Australia's national interest, but also protecting public interest journalism in this country. Let's not lose sight of the fact that Google, having good faith, come to the table and struck successful negotiations with Channel 7, with Channel 9, with News Limited. I understand they're making good progress with the ABC as well as other key partners, and that's going to see very significant sums of money flow into public interest journalism in this country, money that wouldn't have have flowed without the code being on the table. So our resolve is very firm. We are seeking to pass that legislation through the Senate next week, but there's something much bigger here at stake than just one or two commercial deals. This is about Australia's sovereignty. We're in a world where there has been a revolution in the digital economy. We're very conscious of that. That's why we commissioned the ACCC to conduct this groundbreaking report. And if this was so easy, Michael, other countries would have done it before. So we're trying to succeed where they have failed.
Okay, just quickly before you go, JobKeeper, we know, ends in, I think it's a little over 5 weeks' time. As you would know, businesses in your home city of Melbourne and in places like Cairns are crying out for JobKeeper to continue because they are still struggling. And I know the government has a range of other support measures in place to help businesses, but nothing really compares, does it, to a direct wage subsidy. So my question to you, is there any scope at all for the government to extend a form of a wage subsidy for these struggling businesses in Melbourne, these struggling businesses in Cairns, after the end of March?
We've made it very clear that we are not looking to extend JobKeeper. It was always a temporary program, initially for 6 months, and then we extended it for 12 months. And at an estimated cost of $90 billion, it's the most expensive program Australia has ever undertaken. But the good news is that over 2 million Australian workers and over 520,000 Australian businesses have actually come off JobKeeper in the December quarter. Now, you're right, there are sectors of the economy, there are regions across Australia who are doing it tough, and we're looking at other targeted support in addition to what we have already announced with respect to infrastructure, training and the like. But it's also important to understand, Michael, Treasury did a review last year of the JobKeeper program, and it found that the program had a number of characteristics and key features that created perverse or adverse incentives in the workplace in the event that the labour market and the economy was strengthening, particularly about hampering the mobility of workers or the reallocation of workers across the economy as the economy strengthens. So it's Treasury advice that we have accepted that the program ends as well.
Out of time, Treasurer. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us on News Breakfast.
My pleasure.